that that's not what that ayat is saying about the Quran came down in that night of power, the night of power. No, it don't say the Quran. The Arabic word does not say the revelation comes down, but it says that it was sent down. What was sent down? Imam Muhammad's teacher said this may be also referencing the creation, the beginning of the creation itself. So everything came down. And it wasn't no specific night. That's why they say it's better than 1,000 months. You know, in Arabic, they say that 1,000 is used for an infinite number. Metaphorically, it's a metaphor for an infinite number that you can't you can't count. Okay, so what came down in that night? First of all, what is that night? First of all, what is the Qadr? The Qadr is Allah's power, Allah's creative power. First of all, because He creates everything with one word, be. According to, you know, this is the Christian thing, but all Allah had to do is say be, and everything is created. Now it may take a billion, they say 13.4 billion years when the Big Bang happened, right? And then the creation, that was a big explosion, you know, and then the creation started to form from that big explosion. But this is all that they can measure with their instruments. But just look at Allah, and this should give us more reverence and make us just love Allah and wonder on Allah's power more because of this. Because Allah created not only your form, but He created your destiny in that night. But it wasn't a night. And nobody knows when that night was, because the prophet say he, you know, and metaphorically, this is a metaphor now. Just think of it like that, because we can't possibly understand Allah and how He created the whole thing. It's impossible for you to understand that. So they give you a metaphor, they give you a metaphor so you can somewhat get a picture in your mind. But know that any picture in your mind that you have of Allah or what Allah has the power to do is inadequate. It's an inadequate picture. So now this is this is like, I think I said this last week. This is like knowing if you got a child, knowing that child don't have the capacity to understand complicated things yet. So you give it a story. You know, you give it a story that can satisfy his appetite to know. Okay. So now Allah knows we are, you know, we are incapable of understanding his, you know, how can you understand your creator? And using a tool that only deals with the material world and your five senses. It's impossible, because Allah is beyond all of that. He's beyond His creation. You see. So what came down in that night, in that symbolic night, because we know it's better than 1,000 months, right? It's a lifetime. So it's a symbolic, metaphorical number, meaning almost an infinite amount of time. You can't even count it. Okay. So Allah created the creation. He created our form. He created the form for the creation, and He created the destiny for the creation. Because what if Allah is as powerful as we know He is, and we can't fathom His power, then He had everything clocked in to his creation before he created it. Again, I use the analogy of a contractor and a architect. The architect had to first get with the homeowner and the contractor, and they had to decide what type of home they wanted, how many rooms, etc. And the wife probably picked the colors and how the cabinets were going to be arranged in the kitchen and what type floors you're going to have. So all of this had to be known before he actually started putting it to paper. And then in a few months after the transactions, you have a house. They're able to open their door and go in the house, you know, sleep in the beds, cook in the kitchen, etc. So I'm just stretching this out to give you a idea of, now Allah, all Allah has to do is just will, and his will is done in one motion. I wouldn't even call it a motion. His will is done, and that's it. Everything happens according to Allah's qadr. And qadr is a word that you can study almost forever and still not, have the full meaning of it. Because Allah is al-qadr. That's one of his attributes. That's one of the powers that's attributed to him. But know that he is beyond and above all of that. But this is just some of the powers that we can see. You see, so alhamdulillah, la ilaha illallah, Allahu Akbar, 540. And I'm gonna close it down because we don't want to prolong it. We got 20 minutes before we have to go end it.